Right, good morning, welcome along. I'm going to talk to you about pricing this morning, as I said I would. So this is just a short video covering the price aspect of the marketing mix. Right, line on objectives as they always are, should be aware of pricing strategies, advantages and disadvantages of each strategy. So we're going to look at cost-based or cost-plus pricing, price skimming, penetration, price discrimination, destroyer or predatory practice, which is illegal, loss leaders, promotional pricing and psychological pricing. So it's really quite a simple thing, and I'm here on a Sunday morning just to get this to you, so I must be really sad. Right, why is pricing important? The organisation must ensure it covers its costs. Of course it must. Right? You can't basically cover your costs. If you don't continue to cover your costs, you're going to basically end up going bust. So you have to make sure that you're covering your costs in order to make a profit. And all organisations that are in the private sector are out there to make a profit. Alright? So the customer will not purchase the product if they think the price is either too high or if they think the price is too low. So you've got to really try and strike a balance to make sure that you get the consumer, you deliver it to, you get the right product first of all, and you deliver it to the consumer at the right price. Okay, now you don't want to make sure that the price comes across as being too cheap or too expensive, because that will put a large proportion of your market off. This is quite a wordy slide, so apologies again, but there's the factors affecting it. Okay, what are your objectives first of all? Are you a luxury brand? Do you want to basically be seen as something that if you have it, people will be jealous of you, sort of idea? You've got to also look at what your competition are doing. Think about Tesco, think about Asda, think about the rise of the retailers like Aldi and Lidl and all these sorts of things. Tesco are bringing out that Jack's to try and make sure that they can get into that market, because Aldi and Lidl have come in and started to really change the retail market in the UK. Whereabouts it is in the product life cycle, we've talked about that right at the beginning. You're basically, when you're out there, you're selling, introductory pricing, you're trying to make sure that you are getting people in, you're wanting to get it known and all these sorts of things, right all the way through to going back to economics. When you get to the decline stage, you have to start lowering your price to try and increase the demand. Okay, cost to manufacture. Again, what are your suppliers' prices? You can't continue on to make a loss. You can't continue to make a loss. You have to cover your costs at all times. Hit your break-even point, or total costs equals total revenue. What time of year it is? Christmas is coming, although it doesn't actually. This is November the 4th. So I have decided that Christmas doesn't start till 1st of December. It keeps getting earlier every year, but you're starting to see prices changing. We've got Black Friday and all these sorts of things coming up. The state of the economy, are we in a boom time or are we in a recession? So you've got to make sure that your pricing is changeable in relation to that. That's quite an interesting concept though. The last time we were in a recession, what happened was people were still spending money on luxury goods. So the luxury market didn't take quite as big a hit as normal. And that was seen by economists as being quite strange. So they worried about that, and then they worked it out. They worked out the fact that people were just putting everything on credit. So that was and it still is a danger for the UK economy. So boom times or recession, the target market, upper class, think about that. Rolls Royce, who they are aiming at. We look at all these sorts of Hublot watches and Omega watches and all these sorts of things. They're not aimed at Joe Blogs. They're aimed at these really rich individuals. Look at all these footballers kicking about and all these ridiculous gear, these huge watches and all these sorts of things. An article of ostentation. That's a good way of describing it. It's people look at you and say, oh, look at that, that's lovely. I aspire to be like that, or have that, or that guy's cool. Rarity, think about diamonds. Okay, basically the less of something is, the higher the price will become. And what's the profit you're looking to, what are you trying to generate? Okay, so you could either put your prices up if you want to make more profit, or what you could do is put your prices up, down, as long as you know you're making enough units to cover that. Pricing strategies here. Okay, well, what you've got looking at the slide is that on the long-term pricing strategies, low price, high premium price, or market competitive pricing. 3 of them are assumed knowledge, so that you cannot be asked a specific question on these at higher. Alright, but you need to know them. As I was saying, it's assumed knowledge from National 5. Right, the rest of them, psychological pricing, price discrimination, cost-based or cost-plus pricing. And then there's the short-term strategies, such as skimming, penetration, you've got destroyer, stroke predatory, illegal pricing, loss leaders, and promotional pricing. So you've got to focus on these green ones because you can be asked about them, but having a holistic knowledge of all pricing strategies will help you. We're going to talk a bit about advantages and disadvantages. I've got one on each slide. Really, the whole point of pricing is to increase your profits. Okay, so these are just the various ways that you go about them and how they trick or work people into, producing that profit. The first one I always say is low price. You're trying to undercut your competition, so you're generating by volume of sales. I always talk about pre-mark. Stack them high, sell them cheap. So you've got to basically sell loads of units at a very small cost, right? A very small profit margin in order, for you to start making a profit. So pre-mark, I think they're still owned by, quite funny enough, Associated British Foods, who own McVitie's biscuits and all that sort of stuff. Not many folk would understand or know that. I might be wrong, it might have changed, but just think about that, going into that market, live in disposable fashion, the world we live in now. Okay, you buy a top, you wear it once or twice, chuck it in the bin. Okay, something we have to stop with the circular economy. However, right, that's pre-mark and all these guys that have led to that. Okay, so it's selling units, loads of them, set at a low price, and basically undercut your competition. The converse of that, there are Gucci, Rolex, Rolls Royce, luxury brands. Okay, you want to look at, it's all about brand image, snob appeal. Okay, give the product an aura of luxury. So an article of ostentation, that's a phrase I'll use. Okay, so you've got to get onto the fact, you've got to be confident that you want to make it something that people really want. So you'll see things like at the Oscars, jewellers queue up to give actresses all these diamonds and all these sorts of things, so they're seen on the red carpet with them. And that will make the higher classes think, well, if she's wearing that, I want that. So the pace of the people will say, demand will increase. Like Rolls Royce have brought out, Rolls Royces encrusted in crystals, for example, to appeal to a certain niche market, the exceedingly wealthy. So think about Dubai, think about the rich sheikhs in oil-rich countries and all these sorts of things. And the next one, it is what it is, competitive pricing. Think about your Asda's, your Tesco's, your Morrison's, Sainsbury's, Esso, Shell. You're setting your price similar to your competitors. You don't want to get involved in a price war. So if you undercut, then they come down, then undercut again, they come down. Okay, so you're selling what's called a homogeneous product. Right? Homogeneous just means similar. It's just a fancy word and I like to use them. Okay, price competition is not a benefit. There's no point in being involved in a race to the bottom. So that's why market competitive pricing, you keep it round about the same and then everybody's happy. Okay, you've got to ensure the fact you're not seen to be in cahoots with the others, because that could be deemed to be illegal. Psychological pricing is it's becoming less and less. I find, we used to have 99p shops and now have pound shops. And that's because people are, you're not using cash, don't see the benefit of pennies anymore. I've seen kids, especially in school, throwing pennies in the bin, which really rips my knitting, for want of a better expression. So you've got to get the idea that the consumer looks and sees it's 99 pounds 99p. That is good in their mind and their psychology because it's less than £100. If you type it into a search engine, you're wanting something under £100. Okay, you're looking for a particular product. You put it in price ranges, price brackets like Amazon. Right, the one at 99.99 is going to come up, whereas basically the £100 one's not going to come up. So it's setting it slightly less than a rounded number, and the belief the customer won't round it up, right, in their brain. So they'll really think that, yeah, there you go, I've got a bargain. It'll lure customers in. I think it's becoming less and less, but people still do it. You'll see later on, there's a telly that's £14,999.99p. Why not just call it 15 grand? But they still do it, and it's obviously people still think that they're getting a bargain. But I feel now that consumers are getting fed up with the whole thing. They don't want the pennies in their purse, and they don't want all these other things. So you're becoming more savvy, and people are researching more on the internet if they're making purchases. So I don't know. Benefits obviously still working, but you have to know about it. Price discrimination. As a school teacher, this does my head in. What happens to the price of holidays? The second the schools go on holiday, the price shoots up. That's price discrimination. Right? That's when you sell a good or service to different buyers at different prices. Okay, for reasons that are not associated with the cost at all. That same hotel, that same flight, it costs the same amount of money to get to wherever you're going, to get to Salou or something along those sorts of lines. Alright, but because they know the demand is going to be higher, they can charge more. Right, so think about it as well. Think about things like if you're on the motorway, you go down for you go down on a school trip and you nick into the motorway service station. The McDonald's in there is going to be more expensive than your normal one would be just down the high street, because you are a captive market. They know that, so they've got you. Right, you can't go elsewhere. All right, so think about that. The same with petrol. Petrol prices on the motorway are more expensive than those that are further out, because they know they've got a captive market. You're just going to nick in its convenience. It results in greater revenue for the firm. That's the main advantage. Okay, think about trains and all these sorts of things. Hotel rooms, right? Airline tickets. So the first flight, the business flight in the morning, the train between 7:30 and 9:30, when they know most commuters have to get to work. These things are being, eroded slightly, with flexible working practices and all these sorts of things. More people working from home, but it still happens. On-peak and off-peak pricing. We've now got much more choice. You might put a consumer off as a disadvantage, and they might decide that, wait a minute, I've got a bit of flexi time, I'm not going to go at 9 o'clock, we've got to go at 9:30, right? Or you may decide to, and more people are taking their kids out of school to go away on a holiday because they're not willing to pay that price for the October week or, the July summer holidays. So, yeah, it's looked at, and consumers are becoming more savvy, okay, and all these sorts of things. And I'm saying that a lot because you have got more choice because you've got more information. Here's the basic one, which is, we were talking earlier on about covering your cost. Alright, so cost plus pricing is just a method where you cover your cost, you work out, say you want to add on 20% or you want 20% profit, so you add that 20% on and you sell your products. You find out, what your break-even point is per unit, and then what you do is you add on your profit percentage and then you look to sell it. So it's calculated fixed, there you are, there's some technical knowledge here, calculated by a fixed markup to average your unit cost. It's really simple. It's common in markets where there are a few firms dominating. They all have similar production costs, cost plus pricing, it's really convenient. They know what it is, it's easy for the accountants. It reduces the risk associated with price competition, where you're basically saying, oh, right, I have to be, what are they doing, right, you know what it is. So, if the ingredients cost £1 for our baguette there from Pret a Manger, right, the markup's 50%, selling price is £1.50. It's very simple, it's very justifiable as an advantage, right? But the disadvantage is, especially in a competitive world in which we live, if you ignore what your competition are doing, right, you could pay the price for it. Oh God, that was a terrible pay the price for it, but you know what I'm saying. Price skimming, here we go, right? The telly that I want over there against the telly that, basically, well, I'd still want that telly as well. But price skimming is involving setting a high price when something comes out. Think of the PlayStation when it came out. Think of the Xbox One. Think of, that's an 85-inch smart 8K HDR telly, right? Currently on sale on the Curry's website for £14,999. Will that be the case in 8 months, 9 months, 12 months time when the 12K telly comes out? No, it won't. But what they're doing is, they're appealing to people who want the highest, or who want the next tech, who are basically, tech geeks, alright? Early adopters they're called, right? Prepared to pay a higher price because they want to show off, they want to be seen to be having everything. And look at me, I've got this big telly, it's the best thing you've ever seen in your life. It feels like you're at the football match when you're watching the football, right? Look at the one on the other side, which I just put on, just to show you. So I guess a Sony Bravia 4K Ultra HD TV. Price differential is £10,000, £11,000. And then you go, there's $3,999 on there, and basically $14,999. There's a bit of psychological pricing in there as well. Why not just call it 15 grand and 4 grand? You can recover research and development costs really quickly if you're setting that high price in the initial stages, but then what it'll do is it'll start to come down, right? And that's, you'll see it with FIFA, every time they launch one of these big games like Call of Duty or FIFA or something along those sorts of lines, they charge a really high price on the first, second, third, fourth day, right? Probably going on for about a month. And then by the time it comes to a month, 2 months later, what happens is the price has started to reduce, because more and more, because people have got it and people have played it, right? Penetration pricing is when you set a low price to get into the market and you want to try and get people to come over and buy your product, right? So you set it usually low in your competition, right? And just, it's that wee thing, you know, oh, I usually have this, or I usually use that washing powder, but look, that one's 50p cheaper. I'll give it a bash. So they give it a bash, and then what the hope is the fact that they will then stay, you know, with your product rather than going back to the other one. Does it work? Yeah, it works sometimes. But again, consumers are becoming more savvy, right? And we're not as brand loyal as we used to be. So you'll see a disadvantage of putting this false loyalty. Right? It might not work, you know, because people are saying, "Oh, give that a bash. Washing powder's just washing powder," right? So, and that one's £1 cheaper, so I'll have that one. But lower prices do attract customers, right? Introductory offers. See, you'll see all these things left, right, and centre. Sky is my biggest bugbear with this. They do it all the time, right? Introductory offer. Come on, join on board, and then you know once they've got you, right, the price goes back up again, and then they try to hook you and give you other products into it. So you've got your TV one day, and then they're phoning you about your broadband, or you've got the kids package, and then somebody phones you up and offers you the sports package as well. You know, so you think you're getting the deal earlier on, and you're basically you're all excited, you know, because you're going into the market, and that's what they did with the Sky Q and all that sort of thing. All right, so that's penetration pricing, getting into the market. And then loss leaders, again, quite wordy, but you'll understand. And this is, I'm going to try and keep this video to about 20 minutes, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But loss leaders, product or service that's offered at a price that's not profitable, sold in order for you to customers to buy additional or ancillary products. Hey, and the thing I always say is think about Tesco, and they basically put the drink aisle right up the back. And what they do is, it's hot, it's the summer, it's great, barbecues, right? And what they do is when you're going to, they say basically Budweiser something like, you know, 12 cans for a fiver, you know, if only. But what they'll do is they'll say that's what we're going to do, and on your journey to go and pick up those beers, you will see burgers, you will see rolls, you will see small disposable barbecues, you will see loads of ancillary products, and there's your salad, all the kind of things you'd want for your barbecue. So you pick them up and you total along, and what happens is you've got your beers, but you also find then you've got another basket of shopping there. And that is why they do it. They are taking the hit on the one product in order to make the profit on the ancillary products. The other one is basically Gillette shaver, something I don't use very often. And what you've got to think is they sell you the handle, right, and give you one blade on it, and they sell you it for a low price. That's quite a funky, looks good and all these sorts of things. Because what they know is the fact that that handle only fits their razors, and what will happen is you will continue to buy those razors, and that's where they make their profit. I think they're charging something like 20 quid for 4 razor blades now, which is ridiculous. But however, that's what they're doing for 5 very thin sheets of metal. So larger profits can be made if you get all the ancillary things, okay, but you've got to be careful. Again, I've seen myself go in and buying the beers out of Tesco, but then going and buying my burgers out of Aldi. You know, so Tesco aren't actually winning for me as a consumer. You know, I'm just going and getting the beers. I'm going specifically to that one place for that one thing. Okay, so you've got to watch that. Destroyer pricing, I'm just going to cover it really quickly, and folk love it because it's got that really destroyer pricing, right? It's an illegal practice. You're a big company, it was bullying all these other small companies, and what you do is you just cut your prices. You can afford to take the hit. You're the big guy, right? So what you do is you basically put the price down so low that your competition cannot compete with that. And when they cannot compete with that, they become weak. And then what you do is you can see them in that position of weakness. You could buy them, you put them out of business completely, and then once that has happened, you raise your prices. Okay, the government, this used to happen quite a lot. The government have put a stop to it. The most recent one I can remember is, as I put up there, is the Times paper. You know, they went out, it was Rupert Murdoch at his finest. He just went, people are, yeah, granted, people are moving away from the reading a newspaper, they're going online. But while we've still got our newspaper here, we're just going to try and destroy the competition. We'll give them it for 10p. See if we can hook them into the journalism and hook them into, you know, show that it's a good product. So that when they are choosing, what they'll do is they'll choose the Times. So it eliminates your competition, but the bad thing very basically is it's illegal. And that is pricing in 19 minutes and 39 seconds on a sunny Sunday morning. Alright, so any questions, again, just get in touch with me on Google Classroom, or you can leave me a comment, and cheers.